Thank you, sir. I want you to make an introductory remark on your book before I start my set of questions. Let me straightway ask you that writing a book on a figure like Mr. Adani is not easy. Right from the fact that, whether it's permissions and, what all is included in the story. Trigger point, what was the trigger point? Was it easy to pen down a man of this stature?
No, it wasn't easy. I was lucky. I was lucky because in 2007, I met him for the first time. I visited Mundra. I was working for a German publication then, and I wrote my first cover story on Gautam Adani. The title of the story was The Man Who Could Change India. 18 years later, I realized that he had changed India. And the original title of this book was A Man Who Has Changed India. But Penguin said, no, let's keep a different title for the cover. So that is why the first chapter is called The Man Who Has Changed India. It wasn't easy, but I was lucky. I was lucky to get an insight into the man in many, many, many ways, which no other journalist could.
So what are those anecdotes? What are those insights that we don't know on a public platform? It would be great. Of course, they will buy your book, but let us hear it from you as well.
No, the story of Gautam Adani is different from most other stories for three reasons. One, he's a quintessential trader. He has a trader's instinct, and if he had not been a trader, Mundra would not have succeeded. His first business opportunity in Mundra was coal trading, and since he was the largest trader of coal in the country, he could make it profitable by getting all the coal. He owned the ships, he owned the port, he owned the coal, which is sold to NTPC and other players. Because he was importing coal, he built his power plant. The power plant itself used coal. The Tatars built its UMPP, he built his UMPP. Together they accounted for about 50,000 tons every year. So coal made Mundra profitable. 3, to build the port, he needed dredgers. In those days, everyone hired dredgers across the world. But in India, Dredging Corporation of India could not give him a dredger for more than... They said that you'd have to wait for 6 months. He said, I don't have the time. So he told his people, just buy a dredger. And they said, but dredger's expensive. He said, buy it. I want to get the work started immediately. When the dredger's work began, he used the dredger for building another port, so the dredger did not have idle time. And then he bought a second dredger, a third dredger, a fourth dredger. Today owns 60 dredgers. He lends out dredgers to other people, and he's got to the dredging business also, which nobody's talked about. Again, because he was a trader, and because he had a port, he went into electricity. He talked to KV Kamath to see whether they could set up a 330 megawatts of power station. KV Kamath said, why not? I'll give you the money. As soon as he went, he told his managers, let's build 4 times the capacity. Money was available. And that is how he got to power generation. Then he built a UMPP. He lost the bid with the Tatars got for the UMPP, so he built a second one himself. Everywhere he saw an opportunity, he went into the port. And there's one more important thing of Gautam Adani, which nobody in the world have seen following. Most of his partnerships, except for ports and except for defense, most of his partnerships are 50-50 partnerships. Normally it's 51-49, 76-24. He said, no, 50-50. That man has the talent. He knows the business. I know the Indian environment. Let's work together. It's his company and my company. So when Wilmar was born, it was 50-50. When Total came in, 50-50. When he went to data services, ICOMNet, 50-50. If you ask how does he handle diverse energies, diverse businesses, it's because of the 50-50 partnership. He retains relationships like most industrialists do not. He does not use a relationship as a transactional relationship. He keeps a relationship, nurtures it through and through. Most of the businessmen end a relationship when the work is done. Over. Not him.
Wonderful. That was so the business side of it. Recently I saw his interview that came out, and he said that I am very media shy.
Yes.
I don't go and talk about my success. What is he in his personal life like? I mean, is he, he said, I don't really enjoy being in the limelight. A little bit of that.
He's shy. Even the first time when I wanted to do a story in 2007, he was reluctant to talk. I had to prize out information from him. He dresses simply. He is not ostentatious. He doesn't flaunt his wealth. His father used to tell his mother, look, you want to buy jewelry, I'll buy jewelry, but don't wear it and make the neighbors envious. So his mother could not wear most of the jewelry. He's come up from that background. And even when I wrote the book, I had to struggle 3 years to get his permission finally to let me write the book because I didn't want a court case filed against me.
There was a little backstory that there was a permission that you fought for it, right?
I fought for that permission.
A bit of on his personality, then a little bit about that as well.
Gautam Bhai, as I said, is a very unusual person, a razor-sharp memory for numbers. I've seen accountants spending weeks working on a discounted cash flow table for a project. And he'd tell the accountants, DCF karo, I think the number should be this much. In Gujarati, he would tell, just go, I think the number should be this much. And after weeks of calculations, they find the numbers exactly that much. He is a person who takes decisions quickly, within days, if not hours. And when he bought the Australian coal mine, please remember Australia's coal mine. Okay. India is a large importer of coal. India's imports were around 3 million tons. Gautam Adani accounted for about 25 to 30,000 tons. Then it went up to 500,000 tons, 500,000. He bought an Indonesian mine which had a capacity, reserves of 3 million tons, from where he took out 30,000 tons, sent it to India. When he bought the Australian mine, it was supposed to have 8 billion tons reserves. When he finally bought it, he found it as reserves of 10.5 billion tons. 300 million tons, 300 million tons in Indonesia, Australia was 10.5 billion tons. He is the world's largest coal mine. And today supplies coal to not just India, to Africa, to Latin America, and hopefully in the next few months to China also. What is more important is that is ports. Again, one more thing that people forget. India is a country where 45% of its GDP comes from exports and imports. If you don't have ports, your GDP doesn't exist. He could foresee the need for ports in India, and today has 12 ports going up to 14 ports in the next 6 because he's building 2 in West Bengal. And people who say he is obliged to one political party, please remember that the Mundra port came in during the Congress regime. His railway track was cleared by Nitish Kumar. His ports in West Bengal were cleared by Mamta Banerjee, and Mamta Banerjee is no friend of the ruling party. His Kerala port came in just now. And he has projects, mining projects in Rajasthan, which is Congress. So people who say that he belongs to one party forget that no matter which party is in power, he'll be friendly with that party.
Let me ask you one more question, and I want to open it to the audience.
Perfect.
Was there anything morally challenging while writing this book?
No. I was very clear what I wanted to write. I saw him as a wealth generator, the first Indian to reach among the top 5. This was one time where maybe the Chinese, who were always the billionaires, and not Indians. I mean, it was something that could actually show the way for India to move ahead. It's not easy for an Indian to own a port in Sri Lanka, in Australia, almost in Sitwe in Myanmar. It'll come back to it sooner or later. And in Israel, which is chauvinistic. The Israeli port at Haifa gives him access through special protocols to Europe and to America. Watch that port very closely.
Right. So we can take 2 questions. My boss, I'll give him the first. Dr. Batra, can I have Dr. Batra and then we can have. Yes.
Mr. Bhaskar, you're
Yes.
very convincing that everyone is his friend, and that's okay because CMs also have to develop their state. But tell me, what would you say to people who say that he has 4 lakh crores of debt
Sorry, what would you say?
Debt.
He has 4
crore.
lakh crores of debt. He's now got real estates only in the last 2-3 years. Rest is the stock market, making the stock market moving up. It's all paper money, which helps his valuation go up. Then the sovereign banks give him that much money, and then he buys real assets.
Okay, let me answer that question in 3 ways. 1, 3 years ago, debt was 7 times equity. Today is 3 times equity. So, what that means is cash flow is growing faster than his debt interest payments. Second, debt and equity ratios are things that management schools talk about, banks talk about. But if you're a businessman, it does not matter whether it's your money or whether it's borrowed money, so long as you earn a higher rate of return than the market cost of money. If I'm earning more money, I should be borrowing more money and make more money. 3, Gautam Adani does not depend on one banking source or one funding source. Earlier, he depended on Indian banks. Today, he has divided his entire borrowing between Indian banks, which is shrinking, market borrowings, which is stable, and most of it comes from foreign borrowings through financial institutions, which are more rigid in the way they scrutinize wealth generation.
The story is not that he has 4 lakh crore or 3 lakh crore worth of debt.
Yes.
The story is how he got that much debt when nobody gets it.
Well, there are 2 reasons why. At the time when he was a trader...
Why so much of confidence in giving Adani that much of debt?
Okay, let me answer that question. When I met him in 2007, even before that, in 1990s, he was the largest trader, and just a few years before, he was a plastics trader who was just a limit of 2 tons of imports of PVC. Overnight, he made it 20 tons of imports, persuaded the banks that he could generate that kind of sale of 20 tons. And within a year, he went to 200 tons. Gautam has an ability to handle large volumes, grow very fast. His cash flows to the banks show it. Point 1.
So you're saying it was all on future promise or future bet that banks were taking by giving him debt without collateral?
He got the money back the same year by booking orders first, orally, importing, and then matching a price that nobody in the market could match.
Mr. Bhaskar, you seem to be infatuated by your subject.
Of course I am.
Okay, good. I hope you can help us raise some capital. I'm kidding.
Your choice. Your choice. All I can say is, when a man makes more money and his cash flows grow faster than his interest payments, I admire that man.
Right. Okay, we can take one last quick question. That's it. I think, sorry, sir, I've given you, I think we have...
think the lady
that
over
lady
there-
in the back,
Yes.
and that's it. Yeah. That's it.
Hello, Bhaskar sir. Katya here. Sir, hello, sir. There are many cases in the past where we have seen Mr. Biani, we have seen a lot of billionaires
Yes.
and Mr. Dhoot who have grown too fast, who are way too ambitious, and a very quick, growth that you've seen. And then that has backfired, and backfired not just on themselves, banks, bankers, every time, but he has been taken down with it. So considering how a lot of startups are also, a lot of decacons also, shows that the valuations in fact are very, very up in the air. So we've seen many of these cases, we are re-questioning everything. So why this confidence only on this businessman?
It's just that I wrote about this businessman. I've not written about other businessmen.
Right.
It's just because I know this businessman for the last 18 years. There'll be other businessmen who are very good. But the difference between many other businessmen and this businessman is most of his assets are concrete assets. Ports are concrete.
Right.
His coal mines are concrete. At any time, they have a market value, which is at least 10 times more than what he's paid for them. And when you have assets which are easily saleable, your risk profile becomes lower.
All right, I think we are out of time, but thank you, Bhaskar sir, for sharing your thoughts.
I would, there are many dimensions, but Mr. Joe Foster is there. He's come all the way. But I want to say that For a long time, this company, which is such a large company, the research companies don't cover it. For a large company of that size, there's very frugal data available. That's a cause for worry. Whether you agree with me or not is another point, but we know.
Would you like to say?
Do you want to say something?
The answer is research companies have not bothered to check out on many things that if you look at my last 20 pages or 30 pages, you'll find only references. You'll find references of all the material that I've referred to. I could do that because I tracked him for 18 years. Many research companies don't have that luxury of time that I had.
Wonderful. Thank you, sir. Thank you for this
Huge
lovely
round
session.
of applause for the gentleman here.
Problem.